Okay, I need a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the last Board of Supervisor meeting of this year, 2014. And this morning, our invocation will be led by Reverend Kent Simmons, pastor of the Canyon Community Church.
Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, today is a gift from you. We recognize this. In fact, every moment that we have is a gift from you, and so it is an opportunity for us to give you worship and to give you thanks. And it is in these moments that we offer our praise and we seek wisdom. What you have given to us is good, whether it's our health, our families, our communities. For this, we give thanks. God, we also recognize that we have many challenges ahead of us as a nation and as a world, whether it be war or famine, disease, pestilence. God, we know that you are in all of these situations ministering. We remember this day, of course, those in Sydney and are thankful for the resolution that has recently taken place. Today, we also turn our hearts toward our nation, and we pray for our president and for our Congress and for our Supreme Court, that you would bless them with wisdom and with insight and with righteous judgments. Father, we also thank you for the men and women in our service who are serving us both locally and abroad. We pray for their safety. We pray for their safe return home. And finally, Father, this morning we turn our hearts to local concerns. And we ask that this Board of Supervisors would be inspired and given the wisdom that is necessary to govern us as a people, that you would bless and that you would encourage them, that you would put a hedge of protection around them as they courageously seek to make decisions that are in accord with your will. And Lord, in all of this, we will be careful to give you the thanks and the praise and the glory. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Supervisor Bishop, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have Supervisor Johnson. Supervisor Johnson on the line?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A motion to call for an executive session to be held December 15th, 2014 at 9 a.m. What? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Change that on my little cheat sheet. Already starting out with a mistake. Okay. Start over. Motion to call for an executive session to be held on January 5th, 2015 at 9 a.m. for discussion and consultation with legal counsel in accordance with ARS 38-431.03.
So moved.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we have any committee reports this morning? Supervisor Johnson?
Yes, ma'am. I participated in a webinar for Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center that focused on how to secure the new Internet of Things. Peter Romness from Cisco gave the presentation. He started off the webinar by sharing some statistics from a survey that showed that the number of devices available has officially surpassed the number of people worldwide. In regards to the Internet of Things, he spoke on how everything can be connected to the Internet by sensors. A sensor could be attached to a movable part in order to have your cell phone be notified when the cart moves location. Sensors can be bought and put on for as little as $30. With more and more devices being connected to the Internet, securing these devices is becoming a major concern for many. The industrialization of hacking has made securing devices and the Internet a challenge. On what is called the dark net, a sophisticated price system has been set up for what customers will pay hackers for. It is estimated that the global cybercrime market for hackers on the dark net is $450 billion to $1 trillion. 60% of data that is stolen within a few hours. 54% of breaches will remain undiscovered for months, and 100% of companies connected to domains that host malicious files or services at some point. On the dark net, the internet black market, 750 million individuals' information has shown up in the past 3 years, and is easily available for those who are willing to pay the dark net. Next, he spoke about the cost of breaches. When it comes to local government, they did a study that showed that the average cost per record is $11 to $13. Government will spend about $5 to $6 on sending out notifications and $6 to $7 for remediation. 11 to 13 may not sound like much, but multiply that by the number of county residents or country residents who file. We're just hacked, and it adds up quickly. The silver bullet regarding security does not exist. Cisco has come out with a new system tool that protects the new Internet of Things we are moving into. With the new system, they are continuously detecting and analyzing suspicious data. Even it has already passed through their system as okay. If a piece of data was ever questioned by software, they will monitor it. If later on, if it is determined that the software or data was bad, their new technology will allow them to turn back the clock as if the piece had never existed. Also had a meeting with Quad State. Briefly, there's a management oversight group meeting to be held this Wednesday in Vegas. Quad State will attend for us. The Sonoran tortoise issue is coming up again. We're pushing for inventory, disease control. Quad State does have a seat at the table for that. We went over BLM's Planning 2.0, new system for resource management planning. They're changing it from a program to a landscape, and climate change and expanded areas with corridors for animals and plants is going to be added, which will add to our problems. We also went over a little bit about built. You know that was included in the congressional bill, but secure rural schools was not. If they do not fix the secure rural schools, it'll mean a reduction of about 25% for our PILT payment. Also, I had a meeting with the National Association of County Cybersecurity Task Force. It is reauthorized every year by the incoming president of NACO, but because of the threat to our governments, they're looking to make it a permanent part of NACO. Also, I was doing some research, and because we've had a lot of concerns about the amount of wells and water consumption that the roads project is using, just for everyone's information, 115 wells have been drilled by the Biner Cattle Company. 24 of those were domestic, 49 were industrial, 39 stock, 2 there was no record, and 1 was been capped. That's all, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else? I have a little something to say. I was hoping that I would be able to wrap up this year with news of a deal for the trout hatchery, the Willow Beach Trout Hatchery, and we're almost there. The wording on the MOUs are being taken care of between Arizona Game and Fish and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. The cost of fixing the water delivery system is going to be split. So now it's just down to who's responsible for what. And I'm hoping that this happens before the end of the year. We've been promised. Senator McCain is personally overseeing it. So hopefully you'll be seeing in the news of a deal. I don't want to announce until the ink is dry, but I'm feeling pretty good about it, and it would be nice news at the end of the year if this were to happen. So we'll keep you posted on that. Okay, do we have a county administrator's report?
No report today, Madam Chairman.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the minutes of the November 17th, 2014 Board of Supervisors meeting.
So moved.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's time for call to public. Those wishing to address the board at the call to the public regarding matters not on the board agenda must fill out and submit to the clerk a call to the public request to speak form located in the back of the room prior to the meeting. Action taken as a result of public comments will be limited to responding to criticism, referral to staff, or placing a matter on a future agenda. Comments are restricted to items not on the regular agenda, with the exception of the consent agenda, and must relate to matters within the jurisdiction of the board. We have a couple of people signed up. Mr. Tony Gaffel? I'm sorry.
Bad handwriting. I'm Tony Gaffke. I'm from Dolan Springs.
I'm here this
Can
morning.
you please give us your address for the record?
It's 16049 North Maybell Drive, Dolan Springs. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, Dolan Springs, and the issue that I've been assigned to bring to your attention is that we're being left off of official maps. And it seems to be systemic, like the maps from the county have been altered or changed for aesthetic effect. But all of the small towns are left off. And we're suffering from that. If it is systemic, I'd like it to be referred to cartography or put on the agenda for the board to deal with it so that we can get ourselves and the other small communities that are struggling as much as any of the larger ones in the city and need the help. Being left off the map kind of leaves us out in planning, and it leaves us out in tourism, and it affects our businesses greatly to be told by someone, gee, you're not even on the map. I myself live in the outskirts, and I have about, I would say, 15 people a year, tourists that don't speak English, can understand their navigation, but their navigation dumps them on the wrong roads, and they're lost unless we show up on official maps and the unofficial maps like Google and some of the others that post. We don't have a help, or we don't have a chance of, explaining that. There's nothing worse than a tourist that went somewhere trying to find a particular place and then can't. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ken Works.
My name is Ken Works. I live at 2250 Crystal Springs Road in Yucca. My concern is one last issue for the year is the ozone emissions requirements that are coming down from the EPA again, and I think that's something that's going to cost all of us a lot of money. It's already cost the counties and everybody else a lot of money for the extra fuel that you have to burn to use the new refrigerants that the old refrigerant was done away with because of the ozone problem. There was not enough ozone, so we had to get rid of our affordable refrigerants. Now we're being told that there's too much ozone. And they're saying, well, it's at the ground level. Well, we have to know what ozone is. It's an oxygen molecule. It's O3. 3 oxygen atoms are bound together by sunlight. The oxygen comes off the plants, and the sunlight binds the atoms together to form ozone. So whenever you have oxygen and you have sunlight, you have ozone. They're telling us that these power plants that they want to do away with are putting out too much oxygen, I guess, because that's the only thing that can create ozone is oxygen and sunlight. Electric motors can create ozone. The oxygen in the sparks in the electric motor and the lightning can create ozone. The reaction with the electricity and the oxygen can create ozone. Sometimes you can smell it a little bit around electric motors or around lightning. You can smell the ozone. But it's an unstable molecule. When the sun goes down, the ozone goes away. The molecule falls apart into O2 and O1. But I just thought that that's something that's going to cost us a lot of money, and I wanted to bring it up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else who wishes to speak? Okay, hearing and seeing none, I close the call to public. We have a presentation this morning. The National Center for State Courts report on the conceptual courthouse site plan feasibility study for the Superior Court of Mohave County. I believe Judge Gertler and the folks are with him.
morning. May it please the Chair, Supervisors, Council, and Administration. We again have Nathan Hall and Chang Ming from the National Center for State Courts who have prepared the design feasibility study looking at the alternative site located around the existing courthouse. We would like to thank Supervisor Johnson for suggesting that we also look at the site located contiguous to the jail. Unfortunately, even though it is a very majestic site with beautiful views, it was determined that the cost of infrastructure, placing the roads, getting sewer, electric, et cetera, water to the site would essentially bust the budget, and that is the reason that the newest design feasibility study solely looks at the area around the existing courthouse, and in comparison then to the original site that we were looking at here at the administration campus. The design feasibility study does not only address the construction of new improvements, the renovation to the courthouse and the annex, but also looks at potential expansion in the area. And so with that, I will turn it over to Chang Ming and Nathan so that they can walk you through it. We do apologize that the study was just delivered. We did not receive it till late Friday. So with those opening remarks, I'll turn it over to Nathan and Chang Ming.
Good morning. My name is Chen Ming Ye. I'm a principal core facility planner, and also I'm the project director, National Center project director for this study. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Nathan Hall. I'm a senior consultant, and I'm the staff architect working on these facility projects for the National Center.
Okay. I think we prepared some briefing today to highlight some of the design feature and also try to give some comparison from what have been presented in April this year, which is located, the site location considered at that time at the county administrative complex behind the armory. And okay, and let's get things started. Eric? Okay. And first of all, give some background of the courthouse space requirement issue. And so what are included in the study? And generally, we will cover the Superior Court of Mohave County plus the 2 JP courts. That's the general occupancy we are looking at. As we look at the new building as well as the historic building, as we consider expansion and renovation options this time, we need to look at the structure configuration of how the on-site expansion could be accommodated. Okay. And as we understand, the historic courthouse and the annex situation are pretty dismal, and in terms of the providing the adequate space to accommodate the public, as well as some of the functionality for the court to operate, as well as the security issue. And also there's a reason to question whether the existing facility can continue to be operated without any security liability and also accessibility requirement to be met. As we look at all those space planning, pretty much based on 20 years projection about what's required space, and so those are the space requirements we reported last time. And basically, the planning study is trying to address the occupancy of 7 courtroom for Superior Court and 2 JP court space. And also, we are planning for additional chamber space for the future requirement. In general, the total area we look at the space requirement is about close to 89,000 square feet. So to run the number, 90,000 square feet. Okay, it's a better number to remember. As we look at the space requirements, on the general principle, we typically look at about stacking the space to make use of vertical circulation system, which is more efficient and effective to avoid the cross traffic between security and the public or the employee circulation. And also, we look at this time, the last 2 points we added is historic courthouse adaptive reuse. As we consider this 100-years-old courthouse and being in town for so long, everybody has some attachment to that. So we need to value that tangible or non-tangible, whatever you call the value of the historic courthouse as a site. And also, we would like to see how the building can be implemented, design and construction, because we cannot tear down the building and rebuild everything without thinking about temporary lodging for the court to continue to operate. So we need to consider phase construction to allow some construction going on and then for the space to move around, swing space, we call that. So those are the two new ideas. We come to this renovation expansion analysis as compared to the new construction option we studied in April. And some of the general design requirement we still want to maintain, even though this is a renovation option we are studying, which means we will still try to achieve the modern courthouse design requirement, such as separate circulation for public employee and the detainee, and also access control when you have a user from one area into another area for security and privacy issue. And those are some of the issues you will see in this study, even we try to renovate this old building. So the last study, we look at the site, which, as I mentioned, is a county complex that will take up some of the parking space in the armory, where the armory is located. So it's a very tight site over there. And by taking a new building over there, probably it would take away the existing space requirement for the parking. And another site being brought up, which if you look at the lower left corner, there's a hilltop, we call it a hilltop site, which is behind the existing new county jail. And that's another area we take a brief look at it and found out there's a considerable cost if you're trying to develop that hilltop location for the future courthouse. And because there's no utility, and it's just rock formation up on the hill, you need to build everything from scratch. And also, it further distance the court services away from the general public in terms of public access. So we quickly decided probably we shouldn't spend too much time to study the hilltop site because cost is one issue, the other, there isn't that much flat land, basically. And as we look at in April, the proposed plan for that site could be developed for long term. You can see 7 courtroom and 9 courtroom option. 9 courtroom option include the 7 Superior Court and 2 JP Court. But in the long term, with the dark light blue color, you can see the expansion scheme of that, which can bring you at least to 15 courtroom complex. However, as we look at all the space of construction, it does take away the existing parking capacity. So the issue about the public parking and employee parking, that will become a very big issue as we consider this option A. We need to provide additional parking, probably not on-site because there's no land available, probably across the street. So those are some of the site limitation and impact. And this round, we look at the expansion option. Okay. Nathan, do you want to cover this?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'll try and give a brief introduction to what we've looked at with this site. We looked at the old jail site, and I think originally this idea came out about looking at the previous option A plan, and if you just overlaid it on a map, it would expand from the existing parking lot next to the historic courthouse, go across the street into the jail site. And looking at that, we came out and Cheng Ming suggested and asked about the utility connections and the connections to the houses next to the old abandoned jail. And we decided at that point to look into the option of if there's any potential for building the annex adjacent to the historic courthouse. That's in a nutshell. So we looked at this parking lot adjacent to the historic courthouse, and it is about 130 by 174 feet, and from our experience, that's a tight site, but is enough room to fulfill the adjacencies and have the length needed for the courtrooms and circulation behind and in front of the courthouse. The challenge for this site is that you have the existing courthouse and you have issues with security and circulation, and can you fix some of those issues by building the annex, and then how would you connect and maintain the historic presence of the old historic courthouse?
One additional issue, we look at this site, not just when you look at this 3D drawing, it shows in the centerpiece of the site, that's a historic courthouse. A little bit next eastward, you can see a small structure, a small box. That's the historic jail. Okay, and so that makes the use of this site more challenging. How to deal with the connection between the new addition of the proposed Superior Court structure and the historic courthouse without compromising the historic significance of the site, which include the historic courthouse and the historic jail building. Yeah. And basically, the site is relatively slope and with the parking lot slope up from the Spring Street to the Pine Street, as a general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the slope goes from east to west. So when you enter into the main entrance, which is now to the left, there's a new annex that was constructed 2008 approximately, that actually puts you on the garden level or basement level of the courthouse. And then the courthouse main level is can sometimes be called the second level. So the reality is that the parking lot is adjacent to the second level of the courthouse, and you have a split level relationship.
Okay. And the existing building, if we look at the courthouse, historic courthouse and the courthouse annex, it's roughly about 35,000 square feet. Okay, that's the background. Mm-hmm. And we just quickly go over the existing space we're dealing with, about 35,000 square feet. Okay, that shows the two kidney-shaped courtroom over there, and then connect to the basement area of the historic courthouse. And then further going to the second level and third level, you can see primarily, okay, there, the main courthouse has 5,000 square feet per floor, roughly. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to get into the stacking and the massing, but just for a quick overview, this top image is looking as a frontal view at Spring Street. The new proposed option B is a 4-story courthouse that's stacked with a clerk of the Superior Court and a main entry on the first floor. The second and third floor having courtrooms stacked and laid out according to national standards and design precedents and proper circulation and adjacency. And then a fourth floor being a collegial chambers concept where we would have 7 Superior Court chambers plus another additional chamber set for a visiting judge or commissioner judge. On the bottom image, you can see a feature that is not included in the option A, and that's a somewhat partially enclosed secure parking area that would be used most likely by judges. We have space for 10 spots there.
Yep. I think this is the frontal view and back side view to give you some idea when the site is developed for the phase 1 and phase 2. The phase 1 will be the new construction and to accommodate some of the space as listed here. And the phase 2 will include the renovation of the existing courthouse and the courthouse annex, and to provide some additional space for the courtroom for JP courts, plus some of the services related to both courts. And the building will be connected. And the third one, now you see the long-term expandability of the site. Now you see the blue color area now hover above the existing annex, which means in the long term, so far right now, based on the space plan, we cover the next many, many years, probably 20 years requirement. And so in the long run, the site need to be further expanded. Yes, we could we can take down the annex and build another box, so which will make the whole site look symmetrical with the historic courthouse as the anchor sitting in between the two large masts, the west wing and east wing. Okay.
Just to give you a sense of the stacking and adjacency, we went through the entire program in detail, room by room, and laid out the possible arrangement. On the first floor, we have, on the blue is the Superior Court Clerk of the Court with enough workspace and to fulfill the projections. But the main thing here, we have an entrance that appears right off of Spring Street. We don't disturb any of the historic cypress trees there. And so you enter into a large lobby. There'll be, part of that lobby will be a 3-story high atrium. And then once you go in, you have your option to do your business at the Clerk of the Court's windows. And then if you continue on back, you have a direct line to elevators or the hallway that would connect to the historic courthouse. And that's carefully arranged around the existing grade that we have. So there's going to be approximately a 3-foot grade change along there. And then there's also arranged carefully around the existing historic jail, which we've tried not to disturb.
I think this one also has urban planning perspective. We try to respect the existing setting. Okay, that's why, like all the tree, we won't touch it, and we just build on the current asphalt parking surface, and also allow the Superior Court entrances and security. And you can see the judges' parking is behind. It's like a semi-covered open air parking, but that will stop the street people from reaching those areas. That's why you see the parking with a blue arrow sign about the entrance and exit. We also designated a secure parking garage for prisoner transportation from the back, which is away from the general public. Okay.
Okay, so this would look a little familiar to a courthouse architect. We have a set of courtrooms. One is approximately 2,000 square feet, one large multi-litigant courtroom, which we had laid out in the program previously. And then we also have 2 standard trial courtroom sets, and those are accompanied by a sound lock vestibule and proper attorney-client conferencing space. And then in this layout, this is sort of a modern courthouse design where we have a secure hallway behind the courtrooms. Between 2 of the courtroom sets, we have in the red is the prisoner delivery area. And a good feature of this is that you'll see where the public hallway, meets the secure circulation. There's actually an opportunity to have non-contact attorney interview booths next to the courtroom in a safe and secure setting. The feature of this Plan 2 is there's more flexibility for the court to assign use of courtrooms based on actual calendar practice. As you'll see, the judicial elevator is to the top right of the red secure holding area, and that's a quick and easy way for judges and staff to move from their office areas to the courtrooms.
I think one of the issues is when you look at the plan, help you a little bit, the green area generally is the area where the public will access and stay. The blue area show the employee area, and red area is a secure transportation and holding a prisoner. And yellow are some of the functional area where public and the employee meet, engage. And this building will not be just a box. Okay, we fully appreciate the site, and with the historic courthouse and the historic jail building. So it will be like a courtyard arrangement. The public have the circulation, but they do have all the large window and glasses so they can down look in the beautiful courtyard and historic building, which you are later on may plan to preserve and remodel, something like that. And the similar arrangement, we try to address the separate zoning and space by stacking the functional space, so that on the top level, the third floor level, will be 4 courtrooms that make up 7 courtrooms altogether. And then on the 4th floor, because the nature of the judgeship rotation, and also the judges are located in 3 locations, Kingman, Mohave City, and Lake Havasu. So there will be visiting judges and coming to this location. We try to provide the chamber area for them, all on the top floor. They can come to use, and then they can be assigned to any one of the courtroom in the 2 floors below. And the connection between the new addition to the historic courthouse will be on the 1st level and the 2nd level. This area shows what can we do with the historic building renovation and preservation. We still try to maintain the same design requirements, such as separate circulation and access control and private area, and also maintain some flexibility about space adjacency and make use. As we look at 35,000 square feet of space, and primary user will be the Justice of Peace Court with the 2 courtrooms. Some requirement, as I explained, you see that the green area will be the public hallway. They will maintain their existing entrance at the Annex building, but we will change the orientation of the 2 courtrooms. The 2 kidney-shaped courtroom will be gone. And now we reorient the space to allow a very clear and distinct space. Where will be the public accessible area, where will be the office area, and where will be the courtroom and chamber support area, and respecting the current structure configuration. And this one will not touch the structure, but make use of the interior renovation, take out some of the partition and readdress how the space could be done and meet the space requirement. So we can see all the purple area and light brown and blue hallway. Those are the office area for the clerk's office in the back. So they are all connected with the blue hallway. And public will move around in the green hallway area as they go to the courtroom. And also as they approach the counter, the existing counter area, that's also showing green. But for them to access to the back, there's a control, okay, at the hallway for the blue. And this will allow the best use of existing space, the annex plus the basement level of the historic courthouse. And on the second floor, and we try to maintain the use outside the private area connecting to the Superior Court, which in the long term you can see on the west side. That's where the family court services eventually will be located there. That's additional capacity we may want to address in the long term down the road. And also the jury assembly facility will be on the second floor of the courthouse. The last one, we still trying to preserve the historic courtroom on the third level of the historic courthouse. Right. Second.
So we have a little bit of, this is the first floor, but it's really the garden level, as I spoke about the grade change across the site. So we're calling this garden level, and then this is, the main floor, not the second floor. And that connects to the green, to the main entry on the street level on Spring Street to the new courthouse with the 7 courtrooms. Connects to what we are calling the main floor, which is one level above the garden level floor. We like this idea because it uses some of the existing space, the space on the second floor, the annex. We think that you can use that space and not have to renovate. There's no redesign shown in that area. In the area that the historic courthouse off the main steps, we think that's an ideal place for a jury assembly. It should be easily accessible off the main floor, easy to get to. It occupies a historically significant place in the old courthouse, and the space requirements work out fairly nicely for that. And, as we go through now the second floor, which currently has the old Mohave County Superior Courtroom, we want to leave that intact and leave that courtroom for use as even further expansion capability. Obviously, the historic preservation will continue to cost the county some money over time, but that's a whole functional suite with chambers, jury deliberation, and the courtroom. And the way that our plan works is that you see on the very far left is the existing elevator, which is used to access the entire Superior Court complex up and down. As we go back, you'll see that elevator is now in blue. So it gives an opportunity now to have the historic courtroom be aligned with a more traditional access control for the judges. So we'd like to utilize the historic courthouse to the best possible we can do, and we think that by reconfiguring it, you can update it to meet modern day standards and utilize a lot of that building to good use.
Okay. Now is the money issue. How much will it cost us to do it? The blue table showed the cost and analysis we did for. It's not a cost estimate, we have to say that, for this kind of study. And we use construction unit cost and multiply with the functional area identified to be constructed, either new addition or the renovation, with a different kind of unit cost index used. And the blue one was the cost opinion developed in spring for the new construction at the county administrative site. And the yellow table for the expansion and adaptive reuse option B at the historic courthouse site. And as we understand that, the yellow table showing the two costs, one the new construction for the addition, and the second portion with the renovation of existing. And it will be around 14 to $16.5 million contractor cost if you hire a contractor. And that's the cost to build up a space of 61,000 square feet with 4-story. And the cost to renovate the 25,000 square feet of the existing 35,000 square feet historic building and the annex, the range of costs could be between $4 to $5 million construction cost. However, as we mentioned about the phase implementation, this may take a while. So the first phase probably will be doing the new addition. And once it is complete, the court move over there, then the county may choose to implement the second phase, which is renovation of the existing courthouse and the annex for the JP court to move in, and which could be scheduled at a later date. That will help with about the finance of the project. As regarding the long term, okay, as we say that the downtown, the historic courthouse site is tight, but it's very promising with this new addition on the east wing and possible future expansion on the west wing above the annex area. So it could accommodate a long-term requirement for at least 15 or even more courtroom on site, which is no less than the county administrative side, option 1.
Another quick note, too, is that we'll be, in this plan, the county will be bringing the JP court into the fold, so the parking requirement will be greater on the historic courthouse site. The existing parking lot that we're filling in has approximately 40 parking spaces. We're also adding 10 secure parking spaces, so that's a net loss, though, of 30 spaces that will have to be recaptured somewhere on site. In addition, this JP court, you might expect that on a typical day there'll be 40 parking spaces used by the JP court. There's a couple of different options. There's the old abandoned jail site. That comes with a little bit of location access issues that they'll have to walk around the building to get to the parking, and there's some alleyways for that, so it is doable. The other option is there's a existing parking site that the court uses that's owned by the church that's across the street. The church doesn't use that during the workday. And then adjacent to the church parking spot, there's also been brought to our attention the Arnold Plaza site, which may be considered as a future parking expansion possibility.
This is pretty much the feature we're trying to present you about this study, and if there are any questions, we will be pleased to answer them.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions?
Nope.
Sir?
I have some questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, Supervisor Johnson.
Can you give me the total cost of the build out, including the parking? I mean, you've given, phase 1, phase 2. What would be the total cost of build out of both sites?
Okay. Yes, if you look at the total cost, right now we estimate the construction cost. That's today if you want to bid out a job to the contractor and to do the brick and mortar. And so the option 1, that's at the blue table, show between probably $20 to $22 million plus another probably 25% on top. We call the soft cost above that, and which may range from $4 to $5 million, okay, range on top. So you are dealing with 24 to 26 or $27 million total cost for option A. Option B on the historic building renovation and the new addition. If both the phase 1 and phase 2 are built and contracted out at the same date, and you are talking about the contracted price will be between $18 to $21.5 million, add another 25% on top to account to the soft cost, which include the engineering service and architect service and contingency, and also some of the furniture costs. So we usually use 25% on top of the hard cost, and it's about $5 million on top. So we are dealing with $26 million as high as possible. In general, historic courthouse site expansion offer a lesser cost simply because there are 25,000 square feet renovation, which renovation costs less. However, this study doesn't address the major building plan issue because I think that probably need to be verified to get the real cost because we don't know what's the life cycle cost or the replacement cost of the existing engineering plan such as air conditioning or boiler or whatever include that. But that cost is a part of the building maintenance cost or upgrade.
Okay, does that include, because you were talking about parking and, while the church might not be using their parking, they might not want us using their parking. So we estimated around, I think, $31 million. So would that be the price we should use to make sure we have the JP courts, superior courts, and everything?
The estimate of 18 to 21, I'll use the round number, $22 million plus another 25%. You're talking about another $5 million. So as high as $26 or $27 million for everybody included, but doesn't include the parking, additional surface parking.
It does not include that?
It does not.
Okay. Because one concern I have, especially for the park, you said you're going to have, maybe 10 secured parking. I think the way the world is going, we need to secure parking for all of our personnel and separate people. I think in the future it's going to get worse than it is today. I think that's something we need to look at. Also, you said you didn't look at any costs for building up by the existing jail because you don't have infrastructure?
The cost could be generated by adding a premium, of maybe 20 to 30%. I'm not sure. You'll have to have an engineering study done to bring road access, to bring water, utility, electrical access to that site. So I think that if there's a multiplier, of 20 to 30% for getting infrastructure even to that site, maybe that would at least get you a start for thinking about the magnitude difference for those options.
Well, our new jail has water and sewer and power.
Yeah. The sewer power need to be extended up here, and that's one thing. So are you talking about hilltop behind the new county jail?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that area has a very steep grade and rarely any flat land. So there are lots of excavation you need to do, first of all. And second is sharing the same road for prisoner delivery, for the general public access to the backside. That's another concern because that's the reason why the jail was put up there away from the general public and commercial activity. If we are going to put the public building right next to the jail, the long-term result is those two facilities, they are going to grow and they are going to compete against each other for the site. Okay, that's we have seen many courthouse projects when they were built 100 years ago, built right next to a jail, and later on, both institutions expand. So they are competing for land, and turn out to be neither can be satisfied. Ended up, one have to be moved away. And as this, we probably see the same situation already happen here in Kingman. The abandoned old courthouse behind the Pine Street is there, and courthouse was built across the street. And however, when jail expand, that site cannot accommodate because the surrounding environment are pretty much, it's a landlocked situation. And we probably should be very, very careful as we consider the hilltop. First of all, the land, flat land is non-existent, basically. Second, the infrastructure need to be built. and a new way, public roadway need to be extended, and also most importantly, parking, public parking behind there. That's a big issue. I will consider that a hilltop site.
So you figured no money. You didn't give us a cap of say 50 million or 10 million or whatever it would cost. You didn't do any figures at all.
We didn't do that. I think if you consider that site, the site preparation will take a big chunk of money, which you don't even see that in the option A and option B. Option A and option B are the site you can really go in and move on and build the construction up there. But over there at the hilltop, the cost for land preparation and utility will be additional charges, and it will also require longer time for the project.
Right. Now, you understand how much land we own up there?
We don't, and I guess the contract requires us to look at the downtown side. That's why we focus our effort on this one.
Also, the contract requires you to look at downtown site, not that, because we have 31 acres up there. So as far as build out and expansion, if we go with either of the other sites, they're maxed out once they're built, because unless we have to go through condemnation to get larger. The one problem that I have, I guess, for the board is that the building we have now, the court, is kind of an iconic building, and probably the most iconic building we have in the county. And I think with securing in the future our courts, because as I said, the world is getting more violent, I would rather see that building be maintained as a historic building and a new set of buildings built that we could secure, not only for the public but for our own personnel. That's all I had to do.
Supervisor Moss?
I do have a couple questions, but this is more for County Administrator Hendricks and Judge Gertler. What's your preferences on these particular sites and plans? I'll ask first the judge, then I'll ask the county administrator, because there's a very important component when it comes to dollars and cents. So I think you have some input to give us there.
With the fact that there is a long-term expansion possibility at the existing courthouse site, when the board first brought this option to the courts, I took it to the judges' meeting, and I can't say it was a unanimous vote, but it was an 8-1 vote to move forward with the existing courthouse site rather than, come out here. And I think part of the issues that we really didn't address the first go-round with the administration site is something that County Administrator Hendricks brought up, and that is that he is foreseeing ADOT requiring quite a bit of off-site improvements. We already have a significant issue with the Beale Street I-40 interchange, and although I don't really perceive that, taking the court from its existing location and putting it at the administration site is really going to change the traffic patterns. I mean, people that are coming from, say, Bullhead City or Lake Havasu are still going to come in on 68 to 93 to the Beale I-40 interchange. People coming in from Havasu are still going to come into I-40 to Beale Street. Just the fact of the proximity next to I-40, I can envision ADOT trying to require a lot of off-site improvements and lights and things of that nature that we probably didn't anticipate the first go-round. So to kind of make it a long story short, with the expansion capability at the existing courthouse site, the court is very comfortable with that.
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Moss, regardless of what's chosen, it's going to be an extreme challenge to save and try to fund this project. And one of the things that I see as an advantage on both proposals is they can be phased so that we can at least size the project with the available funding, which is important to me. When we proposed the capital building improvement program to the Board of Supervisors, one of the things that was anticipated is that we would be able to try to save and to fund out of the general fund about $1.5 million a year. This year, it looks like we're not going to be able to do that. So we've got to, on a yearly basis, evaluate our available funding for these building projects. We also have to be careful on the timing when we can start these projects. I know there's a desire by myself and those involved to try to get at least the design started as quickly as possible for this project. And certainly there was a desire by the Board of Supervisors to not do any other projects ahead of this one until the shovel was turned. So if I was going to pick a project, I believe the community option. I believe the community has rallied around the option to keep the courthouse downtown, which is important. I believe the support would be there to move forward with that option B, and it did appear to be phased to where we could actually come more closely to be able to afford at least the first phase of that project than we would trying to build a new court facility adjacent to the administration building.
Madam Chair, I would also echo County Administrator Hendricks's comments on the not only the ability to phase the project in to make it more workable dollars and cents wise, but also we did have a couple of different meetings with representatives from the City of Kingman. And I think to a great extent, we ironed out any and all differences. They were very comfortable with the project. They obviously have not seen any of the design, but we certainly did, I think, reach a gentleman's agreement with respect to some of the parking issues, some of the access issues, things of that nature. And so I think we would likewise have the City of Kingman's support in taking it downtown.
Okay. Anyone else?
What's the next step, County Administrator? What will we do next to advance this project, at least the first phase of option B?
I believe that the board would acknowledge and accept the report and approve whatever option the board chooses make a business decision on whatever the board chooses is the best option. And then that's been presented. You could do that today. And then what I will try to do is, from an administration standpoint and a finance standpoint, is come back with a recommendation for when we can start looking to accomplish the goal of providing a new courthouse for this area, and when the timing on when we should contract for architectural services and procure architectural services, and then when I believe we would be able to start construction on that facility.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Supervisor Johnson.
I hate to disagree with your administrator, but I don't think it was agendized for action today.
And I was going to make a comment, if I could, Madam
It
Chair,
wasn't.
that if we could have County Administrator Hendricks bring this item back to us so that we can discuss actions, firm up our plans from a board perspective, and give our staff and the judicial officers the plan that the board intends to follow.
Okay.
Chairman Angus, can I add a comment? This isn't the report. This is just a PowerPoint presentation. There will be a final report in very near future that we'll provide to you. We could whatever that word is, put it on the agenda at that point, if that would work for you as well. But
That makes more sense.
Okay.
And then at that time, when we get the full report, we can go ahead and with whatever action. Okay? Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, before we go on to our business, I just want to take a moment and recognize someone who's here in the audience, our State Senator Kelly Ward. Hello. We don't know her, you go talk to her, and thanks for coming here. Anything in particular you came to see? Okay. Okay. All right. Our consent agenda. The consent agenda items 5 to 21 will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion minus any items pulled for discussion. Supervisors?
I have nothing to pull, Madam Chair.
Item 9?
Item 9.
I have none.
Supervisor Johnson?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. I'll need a motion.
I move that we approve items 5 through 22, excepting item 9 of the consent agenda.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 9, approve amendment number 3 to lease agreement number 09-B-21 for commercial office space located at 127 East Beale Street, Kingman, Arizona, with Dutton & Dutton, LLP, Kingman, Arizona, for a 2-year term effective February 1st, 2015 through January 31st, 2017, with all terms and conditions remaining the same on behalf of the Mohave County Superior Court. Yes.
I had this item pulled because I just want to know whether or not we have room in another county building where the Superior Court Mediation Division and the Infant and Toddler Mental Health Program could be housed, rather than to pay this monthly fee to a private citizen. And also, I have a question as to whether or not this will be located in the new courthouse if we decide to build such courthouse. So those are a couple questions that I just want to clarify.
Okay. Who's going to speak with this?
And Madam Chairman, Supervisor Bishop, I'm not sure we're prepared to answer that particular question. Procurement's involvement was to renew this lease agreement. Actually, they didn't do any evaluation on space needs that the court may have for these types of services. So we would have to get with the courts and see if they had any optional areas that they could possibly use.
Oh, Kip is back.
I was saved by the bell.
Yeah, okay.
Good morning, my
You
apologies.
got to leave, huh?
Yeah. And I didn't hear there's questions about our use of the building?
My question was, I just wanted clarification as to whether or not this could be housed in a building already owned by the county, and also whether or not it's being planned for with the new court building.
Yes, thank you. Chairman Angus, Supervisor Bishop. We've struggled with our finding enough room. We've had some of the staff in the old courthouse in our building at some point. We were using jury rooms to house them, which hampered our ability to have, our criminal juries and function properly. So when we went out and got this infant toddler mental health program and got the funding through First Thing First, they were able to pay for this building that they're in. So the money's not coming from county general fund, it's coming through the grant, through the First Things First program. And so then we moved our two CASA staff over there, freed up a little bit of the room. Again, the building is so tight, we had them in a jury room. It was Judge Williams' jury room, and that just wasn't working out very well. So we're using grant money, and the plan is, when we build the new building, to definitely bring them back over. So there's no county general fund being used to fund this current building, but we are definitely, we will be bringing them back in. We want them in our facility, but this is as close as we can get them to the courthouse. So does that answer your questions, your concerns?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a motion?
I move that we approve item 9 of the agenda.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I was wondering if we might go to item 25. I didn't realize that the state senator was going to be there. Maybe we'd get her back to doing whatever she does.
Wait. I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
I wonder if we go to item 25 next, we get the state senator back to what she's doing. I didn't realize she was going to be there today instead of
Okay,
making
you
her
want to
wait.
move 25 up right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if there's no objection? Okay. Number 25 of our regular agenda, discussion and possible action and exchange with our state delegation on 2015 legislative and other issues of concern to Mohave County, which may include but not limited to obtaining PILT payments from the state of Arizona, charging for the use of rights-of-way, current Mohave County water issues, plans for the transfer of public lands, well permits and fees for water users outside the county, town site property disposition, and CSA legislative and budget priorities to include HERF, state lottery funds, lien abatement issue, supermajority, and juvenile dependency representation. Supervisor Johnson?
Oh, Madam Chair, I go ahead and do whatever you were planning on doing. I just thought we'd bring it ahead of time so that she didn't have to wait for a whole meeting.
Okay, well, does anybody have any questions do you want to come up here? I think she was going to hang around anyway, but just in case.
Madam Chair, is our mine inspector here
We have our
also?
state mine inspector here, too. He just kind of came in secretly. Hello there, Joe Hart.
Hi, everybody. Kelly Ward, Arizona State Senate. Do you guys need my address? 3619 Desert Rose Lane,
I think
Lake Havasu
we
City,
know where to
Arizona.
find you. Okay. I think what Supervisor Johnson's saying is that these are our legislative concerns that we're moving forward with through CSA, and I guess if there's anything you want to comment on, or if any questions we want to ask our state senator?
Yes, and I mean, I've met with CSA and have gone over the legislative priorities. I've gotten a chance to meet with Supervisor Moss as well on some of his issues that are really near and dear to his heart. I look forward to meeting with each one of you to find out so that we don't have any kind of open meeting problems, but I'd love to talk to you. And as always, Representative Borelli, Representative-elect Cobb, and I all strive to work with you all for the best for all of the people that we represent here in Mohave County.
This year, you're the chairman of the Education Committee.
Yes.
And we're very excited about that. And what other committees are you on?
I am Chair of Education. I'm Vice Chair of Health and Human Services. I'm also serving on Appropriations again, and I have a new committee this year, Public Safety, Military, and Technology. So I'm excited about that as well.
Very good. So I don't know if you took a look at the agenda or any of these items. Is there anything that you're most excited about, or?
Well, I think it's really important for us to get our HERF payments back, and we do have assurances from leadership that that will happen over time. You know, 30 million last year, 30 million next year, 60 million finally, and then hopefully that will be complete. Every time, you know, we're in a budget shortfall this year. Every time that comes up, I, as well as Sunny and Gina, say we're not going to use HERF. HERF is not on the table. HERF is not on the table. SLIF is not on the table. So we need to look for other places. Those shifts have harmed the places where we live in rural Arizona. So that definitely is important. The transfer of public lands also, you know, that we've worked together on that. And I think that's very important, especially for me in my position as Chair of Education. If we could get more of those lands back into state control, local control, county control, we'd have a lot more money to put into our education system. And I hope that we can get people from all aspects, from the education community, from the conservation community, from the ranching community, the hunting and fishing sportsmen. All of those people need to come together so that we can tell the federal government that Arizona wants this, and that's what's best for the people of Arizona, especially rural Arizona.
Right. I've looked at who's on some of these committees, and I'm really excited. I think we've got some good people leading up these for the public lands and
Yes,
and things like that. And,
I agree.
Anyone else have any questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
I'd like to know any issues coming up on water that you're aware of that maybe we haven't been made privy to yet.
Yes,
and
well,
hope-
I mean, we have our own issues right here in Mohave County, not only with water rights, but also the cost of water. And so I know that will definitely come before us this year. Brenda Barton in the House is going to be heading up the water, you know, and agricultural kind of committees, and I think she'll be a great leader in that aspect in order to protect Arizona's water, our water supply, and make sure we're not sending it all over, you know, sending it to Mexico, sending it to California when we need it here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
And I also want to echo Senator Ward's comments. I had a great meeting with you guys. And Senator Ward was very kind and told me to calm down a few times.
No.
County Administrator Hendricks, I believe, was also there, and it was a very, very good discussion. And I think, Senator, you kind of sort of hit the nail on the head when it comes to our own Planet Ranch issue. They say, the people who support that proposal, oh, it's not that much. They ignore, in fact, the legal loopholes that they had to jump through to get there, and that they really are undervaluing the property immensely. But it's also the situation with death of 1,000 cuts. I mean, we go from 17% to 13.8% to even further now publicly or privately owned land, and that privately owned land supports our schools. And they look around and why we're in the hole. Well, it's because the federal government keeps up buying Mohave County. Is what it comes down to. So thank you for those comments, and I really do appreciate your kind words and your support of Mohave County.
Thanks so much. I'll continue to do so, and I need to hear from you all as the Board of Supervisors, but also from everyone here and everyone in the county so that we know what the priorities truly are for the people that we represent. So thanks so much.
You'll hear from us.
Appreciate
Madam.
it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I wonder if the senator would be interested in looking at and possibly putting legislation out for discussion on getting PILT payments for our state land. The state land doesn't seem to be sold. We continue to have to give all the services to it. That'd be something that you'd be interested in putting up, at least a trial balloon to see where it goes?
Right. I actually have been gathering a little bit of information on that because I wasn't really sure what we could do in terms of that. But I worry about PILT because you all know with PILT, we get a lot less than what we deserve. And I don't want the state to do that to the county like the federal government is doing it to the state and the county. So we have to be really careful when we craft that, but I'm definitely willing to discuss it and see what's out there.
Thank you.
Very good. Anybody else?
If I could, Senator Ward, just like to thank you very much for all the work that you've been doing for us in the past, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you all. I think that really we have a great team of people in elected office from the local to the county to the state to the national level. So I appreciate those relationships that we've built because I think that's what's best for the people here in Mohave County and throughout the whole state. So thank you all so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go back to public hearing, and I'm going to open the public hearing on item number 23. Discussion and possible action, consider adjusting the fee schedule for the Mohave County Parks. This was continued from our November 17th meeting. Is there anyone who wants to speak about the park fee schedule? Hearing and seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Do we need Mr. Latosky to explain anything? Supervisor Moss?
Thank you. I hate to confess, I was dazing off, I was going off in a different direction. I do have a question because I think, and I want to verify, that our concerns regarding what I would consider non-income earning public events put on by nonprofits and charities, local nonprofits and charities, and I'll give specifically the example of the Kiwanian Easter egg hunt at Davis Camp. I think the line that you added or was added to the proposal regarding promotional passes is an attempt to deal with that concern?
Yes. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Supervisor Moss, you are absolutely correct. We, from time to time, are approached by some nonprofit groups who have some wonderful events planned, either at our regional parks or sometimes at our community parks. And we have in the past and aim to continue in the future through the promotional passes to accommodate such requests for no fee use of the parks.
And I thank you for that. And the reason I'm asking the question, and the reason I asked to look at this agenda item again, because I remembered I had an ambiguity I needed resolved, and I had to see the words again. So thank you, County Administrator Hendricks. But it says the passes will not exceed 30 per calendar year. Now, is that 30 individual passes for people, or is it 30 event passes? Because, for example, the Kiwanian Easter egg hunt can have up to, I think, 1,000 kids from the local area show up for a couple hours, swarming through and looking for Easter eggs at Davis Camp.
Madam Chair, Supervisor Moss, good question. It's actually related to 30 actions by through the Office of the Parks Administrator. So these are individual events. in each event, there's no limitations as far as how many participants are involved, but it'd be like 30 actions.
And so what I like the inclusion of that language, but I would like to see the language clarified, will not exceed 30 events per calendar year, as opposed to just will not exceed 30 per calendar year, because 10 years from now, the Darth Vader county administrator who won't be county administrator, well, so that's only for 30 people. We were misreading the rule. So I think if we're very clear and we say 30 events, we don't have to worry about that.
Okay. One of the things Supervisor Moss and I were concerned about was the regatta, and can you explain how that's been addressed?
Madam Chair, staff, in presenting the revised 2015 parks fees, has omitted references to the Bullhead Regatta.
Okay, and then we'll deal with it
That
as
will
it
just
comes
be
out.
addressed through separate consideration.
And that will come up before us, when that agreement gets made?
That is correct. When the City of Bullhead City is aiming to, again, plan for the next year's event.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I have a
Yes.
question. Mr. Lutowski, with these changes you made, will that in any way affect the revenue for our Parks Department?
Madam Chair, Supervisor Johnson, no, we really believe that we're adding some flexibility to actually enhance the opportunity for especially those persons who wish to partake in our special event weekends, our holiday weekends of Memorial Day, July 4th, and Labor Day, as well as the motorcycle run, the Laughlin River Run in April. We're introducing, the main purpose of these revisions are to introduce a new day use pass for these special events. We would be charging only $20 as opposed to $40, and then during the midpoint on Saturdays, just $10 per person versus the $20 to enable those persons to just enter the park on those special event weekends for day use only. Previously, we only offered a specific pass that offered no-fee dry camping as well.
All right, because we are running a park system that's self-sufficient, so any changes you make that take away from revenue means that our parks won't be receiving the revenue they need to continue to run as the cost gets higher and higher every year.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Supervisor Johnson?
Sort of, I guess.
Madam Chair, if I may, do we just move to approve this now, or do we have to set it for a hearing of some sort? This is the hearing?
This is the public hearing.
All right. Then, Madam Chair, if you would indulge me, I'd make a motion that we approve the proposed adjustments to the fee schedules for the Mohave County Parks as submitted by staff, excepting only that the word events is inserted in the phrase will not exceed 30 per calendar year. It would now read will not exceed 30 events per calendar year, and that we exempt the regatta, which we will address at a later date.
Okay.
Second the motion.
All right. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Regular agenda, item 24, discussion of possible action regarding to accept the resignation of Travis Heaton, Constable, North Canyon Justice Precinct, effective December 12, 2014, and call for letters of interest and resumes to be submitted to the clerk of the board no later than December 26, 2014, from Republican persons interested in filling the position until the next general election, which is in 2016.
Madam Chair, I move we approve. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I'll second the motion if you'd like to proceed.
Okay, there's a motion. Would you repeat the motion?
I just moved to approve.
Okay.
And I'll second.
It's brevity, the soul of wit.
No, let's go ahead and.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We did item 25 already, so now off to 26, discussion and possible action to approve the appointment of Supervisor Gary Watson to serve on the WACOG Mohave County Advisory Council and the WACOG Executive Board.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I want to thank Supervisor Watson for taking on that commitment. I was not very good at it. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about that. Okay, number 27, discussion and possible action The precinct committeemen election certificates.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I placed this on the agenda. Our people go out and get their signatures like any other elected person. They want to stand for election. We take them off the ballot to save money, and then we send them a letter saying that we deemed them appointed. I believe we should do, they are elected, they put their time out there, they do everything else, and I think it's incumbent upon us to respect the effort they go through and what they mean to government in general, and issue them certificates of election, not certificates of appointment.
I tend to agree with you on that as well, but the certificates are still going out. I guess I misread that. So certificates, you just want to change the wording on the certificate?
Yes. I believe they stood for election, and it's not their fault that they didn't get to be voted on, and a lot of them don't like the idea that they're not allowed to cast a ballot for themselves or their family members or their friends. And instead of us acting like it's not a big deal and just saying we're appointing them, they should receive a certificate of election much like we do.
Sure, I like that, and I agree with that. Anyone else? Yes, Administrator Hendricks.
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, I did speak with Alan briefly on this. He called me regarding this particular item, and he said that he could certainly include that language
He did?
on the certificates.
No problem, no statute, no nothing, it's just something that we can do.
It was my understanding there was no problem with it.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I've heard that story before, and it hasn't happened. It could have happened this time, and it didn't happen. I think they need to go back and redo the ones that they already did and give those people certificates of election.
We have Alan Temperate here. Do you want to come and give your word that you're going to do this? Absolutely. Okay.
Hello, Chairman Angus and Supervisor Johnson and the rest. Yes, I can and I will do that. Just quick little background on this. Basically, the reason I use the word appointment is because in statute, it doesn't say you shall issue a certificate of appointment. It says you shall issue a certificate of election. I went back and started looking through what I could find here and there, just recently. And it said the word specifically for election. I do agree with Supervisor Johnson in his analogy. They do everywhere I come across in a couple statutes. It's mentioned a few places. It says, shall be deemed as elected, shall hold all the rights and privileges as elected. But the statute that talked about issuing a certificate specifically said, for those who receive the most number of votes, a certificate of election shall be issued. So there's not even a stipulation, actually, after I looked at it, it says for a certificate of appointment. So then I start thinking, what's the real reason behind this piece of paper? The real reason behind this piece of paper is, besides acknowledgement that you have gone out and done a wonderful job and circulated the petitions and did all that great stuff, it's when you go to an organization meeting of any sort, be it for precinct committeemen, as Supervisor Johnson's bringing up specifically for them, and I just want to add a little thing to that, if at all possible, if you all make a move on this. But it's also, so if you don't walk into a reorganization meeting and say, hey, I'm the guy who was just appointed into this position, and the guy at the fire board says, hey, all right, you must be. You're supposed to show them the certificate of election or certificate of what have you, to show from an official body, to show that, yeah, you are the rightful holder of that spot. Makes perfect sense to me. So the terminology can be changed. The terminology probably should be changed. I'm the one who took that responsibility in the past, and it's been a couple of elections, and put the word appointment in there. Because after seeing it and reading and stuff, it says, okay. Because I thought, what if somebody comes to me and says, they weren't elected, or so-and-so, or I wasn't elected, I was appointed, or so there wasn't a confusion of some sort. There's a problem with this PCs, because if you're appointed as a precinct committee person, like when you guys do it throughout the year, you don't have voting rights. But when you're appointed as a PC after an election by you guys here, you are deemed as in, and you still get the voting rights. And we don't want a confusion there. I can understand that, that there could be confusion in that spot. So I'd like to move it one step further, if you all decide to go ahead. I do the same thing for fire boards. I do the same thing for special districts, we'll call it. I issue them a certificate of election if they're elected, or appointment if they're appointed. I would like to change it on all certificates, being PCs, or we'll talk about the special districts, to the word elected. So that's just kind of how I feel on my thoughts, and I just wanted to kind of.
Wait a second. So if someone is appointed due to whatever from a special district, they're not elected. They're appointed.
They are appointed with all the same, deemed as being elected with all the rights and privileges that go on. And the statute is 16-410. It talks about special districts, and it also talks about precinct committeemen in that statute as well. And there's another specific statute for precinct committeemen, is 16-822, mentions those words exactly.
All right, does anybody have an issue with that? Supervisor Johnson?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you, and I will see that, according to Supervisor Johnson's request, that new certificates of election be issued to everybody that happened this past fall.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, was that the action? Do we have to have an action on this, or we have to, or just, no, because it's for
I think
the Elections Department.
Mr. Temperance said he'd take care of it.
Very good. Number 28, discussion and possible action, the abatement or compromise of taxes in the Mineral Park bankruptcy. We do have somebody signed up to speak. Michael Kearns from Mohave Community College. Thank you for waiting so long.
My pleasure. Thank you. Madam Chairman, members of the Board of Supervisors, Mr. Hendricks, Attorney Ekstrom, thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. We just recently became aware that there may have been some potential action this morning on the Mineral Park mine tax compromise, and we wanted to express our concern about the pace at which this was going through a potential government process of approval, understanding that we have only recently found out significant details as of last Friday, and it will significantly impact the college collectively to the tune of about $1.5 million. And just so you understand what this means to us as a taxing entity and as an operation that's trying to conduct business, that money goes into our general fund, and it funds all the things that we do, ongoing expenses as well as construction. And ongoing expenses, we seem to manage through our budget quite well, but from a standpoint of construction projects and things like this, these types of funds go into our bottom line and our fund balance, and that's what we use for construction, and we call it a future construction budget. And currently in Kingman, we are planning and in a design phase right now about a $4.5 to $5 million building. And we were counting on these assets that were on our balance sheet to contribute to our bottom line and to fund some of that building. And now that we are subject to a possible decision that would affect the full payment of those taxes or a partial payment or a negotiation in some point and form, we will have to go back and reconsider where that building is going to move forward in terms of its current status, or maybe in a reduction of the overall concept of the building. So our concern is that the pace at which this is moving forward, we haven't had time to really examine this. And also, because we serve the entire county, all the services that we generate from the college and the funds that come into the college go to the entire county, not just the Kingman area. And our concern is that a big business accounting strategy is trying to create a sense of urgency that is somewhat artificial, because they are imposing deadlines upon the board to act when in fact the board hasn't had time for due consideration or due process to consider what it's going to do to the taxing entities, needless to say what it's going to do to the county itself, which also is going to be affected. So our concern is that the pace at which is moving forward would not be allowing the entities to have a good understanding of the impact and what exactly it's going to do to the other taxpayers. My concern is that it's going to shift the tax burden to all the other residents of the county, not just those that live here in the Kingman area. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Kearns?
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Grant.
Okay. Anybody else?
I have
yeah.
a short comment. I agree with Dr. Kearns. I think this is moving way too fast, and I'd like to see some more research done, especially with the way they think they were assessed on rightfully. I'd like to have more information on that and maybe table this for another time.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
is the public hearing part of it closed?
this wasn't in a public hearing.
So we have nobody else to speak?
No, there's nobody else who's speaking, no.
Okay. I guess my problems come from the fact that this company, we also have to consider that, you know, we've talked about earlier about the roads development and Planet Ranch water, and there's a tremendous amount of water going up here that's being used without, you know, payments to those people. I'm not in support of this, whether we continue it or not, so that's just my statement.
Okay. I need a motion.
May I ask
Yeah.
Supervisor Bishop a question? How long would you like to table for? 30 days, 60 days? Until someone brings it back indefinitely?
I would table it for 30 days. I think that's sufficient time to contact the
Certainly
DOR.
support that.
Yeah. I'll move it that we table item 28 of the agenda for a period of 30 days to bring it not to the next meeting, but the meeting following the next meeting, the mid-January meeting.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
All right, we got a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, and with that, that ends our regular agenda. And before I adjourn, this is, as I started, this is my last meeting as the chairman, and I wanted to take, before handing the gavel to Supervisor Moss, and I wanted to take this opportunity to thank the staff and the other board members for making this a very interesting and enjoyable year, and for helping me out when I got a little sideways, and for always giving me the correct information and good information and advice. So thank you very much for all of that. And on behalf of the Mohave County Board of Supervisors, I'd like to wish all of the citizens of Mohave County a joyous holiday season, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and a very happy and healthy New Year. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
We have a fishing pole under the tree for you.
I hope I get to use it.